We are setting up the audio. Audio check. 1, 2. Test, test. All right. Sounds like we are live on the stream. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to America's F2 series, running on Thursday. It is myself, all alone in this chat room. Happy to bring you F2. It is InsaneSparty. We are doing broadcast number 2 of an undetermined mount. And eventually we will get this over onto the Race Spec Twitch, but because I'm terrible with technology and do not like Twitch, apparently, we will move hopefully there next week. So this week we have one-shot qualification with a 25% race in Miami, followed by a inverse top 10, 50% race in Spain. Fun facts from that we learned last week: there will be no more formation lap on the first race because F122 does not allow that. We should have, well, we had 17 racers check in for tonight's race. We do normally have a full grid. There's some power outages across the country affecting some people, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll be able to join the next time we're back here. As I mentioned, there will be a one-shot qualification that I'm sure we will jump right into. So all my preparation that I would have done if we had a full 18 minutes qualification kind of goes out the window here. But we will have the first race here in Miami, a brand new track that was raced on for the first time last season in 2022. That actually is on the grounds of the Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami, Florida. Miami Dolphins play down there. Miami Hurricanes, also known as the Orange Bowl. Fun little fact: there is a absolute fake yacht area that we have on one of these turns that has some nice water that absolutely is not. Let's see here as we ride with Tom taking us around the track. Turn 1 here, it's slightly uphill when you see the braking zone, so it's a little bit hard to see. Turns 2 and 3 can be very slick as you're coming around. Sort of a half throttle. You'll see 5 times in turn 6. Turn 6 is kind of a double apex that you see here. There are 3 DRS zones in Miami, making it one of the fastest DRS zone tracks on the schedule. You can see Tom here currently has spot number 1 with the sectors. Nico Verts look to be jostling right behind. Ooh, Drag King is up in the mix as well. It's a hard braking zone down here to the left with a very slow right-hand corner. This part of the track in Sector 3 is definitely not my favorite. Up over that little bump underneath the overpass, if you hit that incorrectly, your car will kind of Tokyo drift sideways into the barriers. And then down the very, very long DRS-enabled final backstretch into a tight left-hand hairpin. Some racers, depending on your braking zone and tires that you choose, may end up in that little runoff area that we just saw over there on the right-hand side. Quick little left-right here, and we shall see where time is up. Oh, Hertz clips time by about 9/100ths of a second. Pretty good spread up top. 9/100ths of a second, but a bit of 100. We got Nico and Drag King to be just within about 100, 200ths of a second of each other. And these are lovely F2 cars, which we mentioned last time. There should be some good drafting, DRS enabled as well, going around this nice fast track. So we have Verts followed by Tom, Nico, Drag King, Little Mick, JBH Squish, followed by Elder, Captain Schmeg, and Rocket rounds out the top 10. High side, styled Harmony, Flavis, Sergeant Bill, Jerkwad, top 15. Phil, and it looks like Sublime and Viridis will be starting at the back. I'd say that's strategic, except they will not have very many laps to get up to the front of this race because it is a 25%. It is very short. So, all that in a nutshell here. We should be ready momentarily. I don't think Sub has a mandate, like I like to do to everybody, to hold A while people get setups, because these are actually fixed setups for the F2 cars. As you can see, the timer is ticking down, 20 some odd seconds until we start. There will not be a formation lap. So unlike the last week where I was sitting back with some facts and trivia, we're just going to jump right into the race and not miss the start this time. And here we go. 3, 4, 5 lights. Green flag. Vert's very clean down the. So Tom with Nico contact. Looks like drag came. Got some contact there inside turn 1. Falling back through the grid. And this is everybody coming around turn 3 here. Professor Phil seems to also gotten short into the stick on that exchange. Rocket, high side, Viridis side by side with Adler. I'm always going to say Elder's name incorrectly just so they know and everybody else knows. It's going to be very congested coming up here to the hard left-hander after the DRS. DRS is not enabled, but it will be enabled. Nico on the inside of Tom. Tom does have the position for the next corner. This corner here, very tight, very slow. You don't want to be too close to the car in front of you, but you also don't want to be too far away, because if you're too far away, well, then they're going to get a big old jump down this backstretch here. Looks like we have Sublime Squish. Squish seems to have had an incident down 10 places from the race start. Unfortunate start in this very short 8-lap race. As I mentioned, DRS will not be enabled for the first couple laps here. Oh, JBH, Tom. A little bit of a spin on corner exit there. That corner is tricky. If you get the power down a little too early, you will spin out. Let's follow little Mick here up front. Chasing Nico, Bert seems to have a very large lead already, 2.4 seconds and climbing. High side dropping the place to Viridis. Viridis already up 10 positions from their DQ during qualifying. Styled Harmony's got the edge on Sergeant Bill. Sergeant Bill a little lot wide on that double A box left-hander. No DRS yet, but you can get a very good draft with these F2 cars, unlike the F1 cars, which doesn't seem to matter at all how close or far you are. They do not handle like their Sergeant. They're very deep in the corner. Style should have easy time passing. Tom all over the back of Flavis. Nico also picked up a little penalty that you saw there pop up on the screen. Track limit warnings already. It's pretty tough to do in 2 laps. Tom should have some good drag coming down this stretch. Everybody, as I mentioned, is on a fixed setup, so same setups for everybody involved. Let's see how deep he takes this one. Bert sets a fast lap so far. Little congested. Everybody gets through clean. Squish had a little bit of a moment in that last corner. And there goes Captain Schmeg around. Hopefully he can get that right and he's not disqualified. Sitting on the pit exit. Does rejoin in a pile of cars. Everybody gets around clean. Sub and Flavis. No issues. You never know with the car and how it unghosts at the most inopportune time. Tom getting a good run on Jerk through that double apex. Should be set up well. There you go. DRS wing is open. You see he just flies on by past Jerk. JBH following a little bit of a train here. This should be a good attack on Cold Drag King with Little Mick. Little Mike. DRS zone you'll see will be open here in just a second. There it goes. Little issue back in the pack. Looks like Sublime had some moments. We'll check on him in a second. No overtakes. Thought someone was going to be close enough to make that happen, but apparently not. There goes Sargent. Around Style, around the outside. Style should have... hang tight. Power down a little bit on that flat corner exit. That'll get you. Phil around. Lots of guys spinning so far. I would say Miami's not the favorite track. There's some that were in the lobby here tonight. You can kind of see why. Everyone's spreading out a little bit. We're going to be maybe 2 DRS and Nico. Nico is around. Wasn't really a spot that you could spin. Missed what happened, but that is unfortunate. Was sitting up there in second place. So now we have a brand new battle for second place. JBH, Little Mike, following Drag King here. Coming up underneath the tunnel section, underneath the overpass, excuse me. Very slow, but both of them should have a good opportunity for an easy overtake here before the hairpin corner. Schmeg picks up a 2-second penalty. Well, DRS seems to not be very powerful here on that backstretch of Miami. Get a little bit one here on the front stretch, but too far to make a lunge. Nico trying to recover from his spin. And trying to make it on the inside of high side with Sargent right behind. Tom all over the back of Adler. If he can keep it close, should be set up for that good DRS zone here coming up in 2 corners. Hop up on Viridis in just a second here. See if Tom can get it done. There goes the wing. Probably not. Adler also has DRS. So we watch Nico trying to make a comeback here. Does not have the optimal position. Passing high side. Sargent kind of a witness back to what's going on in front of him. As long as both guys keep it on the track, he'll be happy. You don't want to get tangled up in somebody's wreck here in the very tight and narrow underpass section. Sargent looks to be too far back to be able to make a move by the end of the straightaway. High side also probably is. Viridis, who is up 13 spots from his DQ in qualifying. Looking to make a move here on JBH. Will have the aid of DRS coming down the front stretch. And is not able to make that move stick. Still side by side, though, both racers giving each other room. Always appreciated by veteran racers. Nothing worse than having side by side with somebody that doesn't know how to drive with someone that's next to you. Still side by side, basically throughout all of Sector 1. And there we go. JBH contact with Viridis. I'm sure that'll be a report as long as JBH has their stream enabled. It's unfortunate that we're doing such a great job side by side, going through 1.5 sectors at least. JBH drops all the way down to 11th. Tom in 8th, trying to make some of those spots back from his earlier spin. A little bit of a DRS trying here from everybody. On lap 6 of 8. Meanwhile, checking back up at the front, Verts is long gone. Long gone. It's kind of impressive. Oh, we have a little bit of a, not a lull, but a little bit of a gap here. From our last week's standings, we did have Blockman, who is not in attendance tonight, leading the championship with 54 points. Verts was second place with 53 points. There was a big gap behind them. We have Viridis with 32, tied with Little Mike with 32. Tom in 5th place with 29. Nico with 28. Drag King 24. Robert Elder 15. Highside 13. JBH in 10th with 13. Leading the constructors previously before this race, we had Dams with 68 points, Art 64, Prima 53, MP 32, VAR 29, Virtuosi 28, High Tech 19, Garland 17, Trident 13, Campos 8, and Charles with 4. So here we go, 2 laps remaining. Again, keep in mind, looks like Nico will be able to use this DRS, get around Rocket pretty easily before the tight left-hander upcoming. Big braking zone if he doesn't shoot it in too deep. Great job there. Good pass. Has the position heading to the underpass. High side picks up a 2-second penalty. That potentially could knock him all the way down to outside the top 10, which would not be a benefit, as he's sitting in 7th currently, would be 4th for the next race with that inverted top 10. This would put him outside of that top 10 area. Little Mike. See if he can make this move. Does have a time penalty. As we start the last lap, should have 8 out of the DRS zone coming down the front stretch. Looks to be too far back to make this move stick, however. Tom picking off JBH. Should have an easy go here at high side. High side covers the inside corner. Tom's going to have to run it a little around the outside and then make these tricky corners stick. A little bit of contact on the front, a little bit of contact on the back. JBH in there also trying to gain spots back from that earlier spin contact. Both of them should be, as long as they keep this gap here, in good positions for the DRS zone upcoming. And, well, we avoided a through. We got a 3-wide situation here, everybody. Not enviable for anybody. We have JBH still up front. Tom settles here in the middle, high side, and down to 9th. JBH picks up a time penalty. So Tom might actually be in decent position here. As Virt rounds the last 2 corners, comes away with a giant 7+ second lead. Congratulations to them. Drag King will come across second. Viridis 3rd. Little Mike 4th. Nico spins around that last corner. Rocket's going to be able to take advantage. Nico's going to tumble down with that time penalty outside the top 10. Rocket, 5th place. Tom, 6th place. A little bit of a drag race to the end here. High side, Adler. Sargent takes a 10th place spot. They will be able to start from the pole for race number 2. Style Harmony in 11th, Captain Schmeg 12th. Jerk 13th. Nico ends up in 14th after that spin and time penalties. Squish 15th, Sub 16th, Flavius 17th, and Professor Phil rounds out the field in 18th position. So there you go, 8 fast laps from Miami. There will be a slight break between race 1 and race 2, so the qualification order for race 2 can be inverted for those top 10. Again, we have Verts first, Drag King second, Virtus third, Little Mick, Rocket, Tom, followed by JBH in 7th, Mr. Highside 8th, Adler 9th, Sergeant Bill rounds out the top 10. Virtus gaining 15 spots for that race. Very good result for them there. Solid Harmony will be the first one to maintain their position for race 2. In 11th, Captain Schmeg 12th, Jerk 13th, Nico 14th, Squish 15th, Sub, Flavius, and Professor Phil rounding out the bottom there. So we'll see what Verts can do starting in 10th for the next race. They have some decently fast cars that they'll be able to need to pass through Spain, which is a track that we actually raced in America's Sunday Open, as well as America Series Tier 1 and Tier 2 on Tuesday of this week. So the drivers are pretty familiar with Barcelona racetrack. As we saw, hopefully it'll be a little bit more close racing than we had in the F1 series, where it kind of gets a little bit spread out, sort of like real life. These cars just kind of can't pass, at least in the F1 cars, with the low setting downforce, or excuse me, the high downforce settings. DRS zones make it the big long one on the front straight, and then the one after turn 9. Um, can't really get up and pass the car in front of you unless you have a little bit lower downforce. Since these cars are all fixed setups, that will be interesting to see with everybody on an even playing field how they're able to achieve that. So there will be a couple-minute break. I will be right back, and stay tuned for race number 2, a 50% 19-lapper in Spain. Just for everybody tuning in, we still have about 2 minutes probably left before the lobby kicks off. Top 10 being inverted currently, and apparently Sublime needs to take time with that because of math or doesn't know how to count. I don't know. Anyways, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we should any minute now be getting ready to kick the lobby back off. Everybody maybe was able to use the facilities, get their favorite drink refilled, stretch their legs, take a nap. Who knows? Whatever they needed to do to get ready for the second race. 19 laps in the Spanish Grand Prix, the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Little fun facts while we're waiting here. First race here was held in 1913, which is a long, long time ago. A 2.905-mile track. That would be approximately 4.675 kilometers for everybody else besides people in the US that don't know how to do the metric system. Number of turns, 16. Next season, I do believe they will be taking out that absolutely terrible chicane that nobody likes between turns 13, 14, and 15, making it a little bit faster. Exiting 13 and then continuing around until what is currently turn 16, which is the very last corner. Looks like we are almost halfway ready. There we go. Timer has started. 26 seconds left. We will have a formation lap for this race. Cautions are possible, unlike the 25% race that F122 does not allow cautions. We could have the possibility of some caution laps here in this 50% race. As I mentioned, the top 10 will be inverted from the first race. With his finish in the first race, Verts takes the points lead, as Blockman is not in attendance tonight. They have a pretty healthy lead. It was, or it would have been, 21 points Now it is probably more like 30, I would say 32, 33 points at this point in time over Viridis. Just waiting for the players here. Fixed setups, so there shouldn't be any need for everybody to change anything. Everybody on the same level playing field in these very bus-like F2 cars. For anybody that missed all of my talking last week, you were lucky. But I did mention that this is the first time in a few seasons that we've had F2 in the Americas series. Previously, it was actually combined with our friends from Europe, which was very late races for them. And it went away for a little while, but it roared back. We have 21 people signed up for full-time spots for the F2 Americas series, which is why we went ahead with it, and it's fantastic. People are enjoying it, and hopefully we're able to build on this in the future. Possibly 2 tiers next season, who knows? Depends on the how everybody likes these kind of cars as compared to the F1 cars. Countdown clock here has started. We are down to 20 seconds. 20 seconds before the formation lap. Lobby is updated. Don't know what that means. Hopefully that was good. Haven't seen anybody drop. And here we go. This doesn't look like a formation lap. This looks... Anywho, this looks like the start of the race, not a non-formation lap, which I think what is Flavis is all the way back there. So we have a dive into turn 1, JBH leading Elder, Sergeant Bill coming through. Everybody so far makes it clean. Now we are entering turn 3, which is a very high-speed, treacherous corner that in the F1 cars you can actually lose pretty good traction in 4th or 5th gear, which makes absolutely no sense. Coming down into turns 4, 5, 6, then we've got, who's that? Looks like Professor Phil and Tom Sargent. Tom and Sargent got together. Everybody else escapes unscathed. It's unfortunate. Two spins for Tom in 2 races. Very unlike him. Coming down into the modified. Turn 10, 11, 12. Sometimes on these corners in Spain, there's a lot of places that are very easy for you to spin out. Some of these curbs, if you touch them, do lead to spins, definitely in the F1 cars. F2 cars have a little bit more downforce, a little slower. So we'll see how that plays out for everybody. Coming down into the first of 2 DRS zones when it's open. That is that long front stretch. Adler gives a little bit of a hey, hello to Mr. Highslide. No harm, no foul, Rocket. Entering turn 3 with a whole bevy of cars around. Schmag and Drag King, oh boy. We have 3 wide. Looks like Nico stuck his nose in as Rocket was trying to stay in the middle off of everybody. It's unfortunate. And it also looks like he's going to be inside a sandwich, perhaps, again. Coming into the hard left-hander up the hill with that sausage curb on the right-hand side that'll unsettle your track. It's nobody's business. Little neck all over. Back of Rocket. Should have this move pretty much done. No contact there. Hertz has already made up 5 spots. You take 6 and 7 spots from the beginning of this race. A little bit of contact here between him and Highside. Everybody back in line, a little orderly. As they're fighting back here, it's a big gap. JBH and Beardus kind of driving away from the pack at the moment. Let's watch Elder and Verts going down in turn 1 here. Verts with the inside, giving the room. There's no touching that curb. Good job, boys. Into turn 3, Verts has the move done. Nick chasing Highside. We do have a couple guys on the hard set of tires. See how that's able to play in. It's like Nico, Sub and Style coming into the corner. Style got up on that curb. Sometimes that unsettles the car. Because we just raced here in F1. Getting close to Nico. Or Phil. Because we raced here in F1, a lot of the guys have seen that corner up close and personal as Squish goes around. Sargent and Jerk get together a little bit here. Everybody jockeying for position through the final Sector 3 corners. Jerk a little close here to the back of Style. Good job staying off him. Should have DRS enabled here. So here is that. You might get a little bit of a drag, a draft off of the car in front of you. But everybody's going to kind of be stationary inside their little DRS train that we have now going. We got Schmeg ran off the corner there on the exit of 2 into 3. We'll lose a couple more spots. 3 wide again out of the exit of 3. 4. That was interesting. Highside took a very odd line out of 3 into 4. Hopefully he gets righted here before he gets DQ'd for going the wrong way. We do have reverse in the vehicles. Following through the gravel, back on track. Get all the dust off of those. Oh my, oh my. Who was this? This was Flavis. Flavis driving like a bull in the china shop here, out of turn 10. So the aggression level of all the drivers here, apparently a little bit of carryover from the Miami race. Driving with elbows out. Might end up being a couple reports here or there. Sub has a run on Rocket. Rocket just pulls over. Should have the move done well before turn 1. Rocket falls back in line, blocking the lane off from Phil for making that overtake. Tom, however, has creeped back up. Still down 5 spots for that 9 spots. Great race from him so far. So far, biggest losers on the start of the race. Mr. Highside, as we saw, with the acrobatic overtake attempts, down 15 spots. Sargent down 12 spots. On the reverse side, we have Subline and Professor Phil both up 9 spots. Great job, and then Bert's kind of in that 10th position up to 3rd so far. Looks like we might have a challenge here on the front stretch for the lead, followed Beardus. There is a healthy gap, 8.5 seconds between Beardus back to Bert's. And their tires, so Verts is on the hard compound, the other 2 are on the soft compounds. Should have this move here by Beardus done well before turn 1. You can see that delta clicking down. Well, I stand corrected. This move was not done at all. Again, just kind of the difficulties that you see here trying to overtake at the Spanish Grand Prix, no matter how close you might be. Always just out of reach. Squish looks to be stuck here, will get disqualified unless he resets to track, which in this case would be allowed. There you go. Good. So even though you don't want to do that, sometimes circumstances in these tracks, you get stuck, and if you do not move for an extended period of time, you will be DQ'd. So in that instance, that was allowed. Tom coming down, turns 4, 5, 6, up through turn 7. We'll have DRS on the backside of turn 9. Is right on the bumper of Rocket. You can see Rocket hangs to the inside, blocking that overtake area off of Tom. Not going to be able to get done on the outside. Does not have the optimal line for the final chicanes here. We'll have to wait for that front stretch. Hopefully he can maintain this distance. As we saw, a half-second delta was not enough to be able to make this overtake previously for Viridis on JBH. And again, just a little wide on corner exit here. Tom using all that draft and the DRS. Should have that well done. A nice little battle here between Nico and Style. Nico looks like he's going to take it outside. No, hangs on the inside. Off of turn 3 into turn 4. Style squeezing just a tiny bit here. Sargent hoping everybody remains clean up front. Goes for the inside pass here on Style. Does get it done. Power down exit heading up towards turns 7. Up the hill, turn 8. Turn 9 is always my least favorite here, I think. Just because of the previous games, if you had it flat out, you would spin. Well, I would spin, other people wouldn't spin. So it's just kind of some PTSD there. We do have a nice battle here behind Rocket between Phil, Nico, Sargent, and Style. Everybody basically within a second and a half of each other, less than a second and a half. Should be a big old DRS train coming to the front stretch. Sargent got a good exit there on the back of Nico. Should be able to utilize that draft. Tuck in line. Drag King in the pits off of those soft compounds. Should be moving over to the hards. Sargent with a try on the outside. Hanging tough on the inside. Want to stay off of that curb in turn 2. Not able to pull that one off. Mr. Highside also in the pits. Both of them going to, well, Drag King going to the hard tire. Looks like Highside is going to the soft tire. Squish picks up the penalty, unfortunately, here. Jerk should have a good run. Side by side through turns 6 and 7. Not exactly optimal to do. As long as you give each other room. Looks like Schmeg is off the course. Rocket and Phil side by side here. Up through sector 3. Hanging tough. This is another corner, as you just see there. You get on that curb. It will unsettle the car. Little Mick and JBH coming into the pits. That is Viridis and Bertz running out front. Tom also into the pits. Let's see what else is coming. No other takers currently. So we do have Viridis and Bertz on different compound tires, both 8 laps old. Sargent is trying to pass Nico. He's just beating and banging. I must say, as a just as experience from the last race, we had a lot of the, as we have Crossplay, the Xbox guys like to play nice with each other. PlayStation guys, a little bit of bowls and china shops, as we see Sargent on that exit of 4, having a day. That might have been a little bit of a reset to track, perhaps, and clear. Really, this is getting overtaken. Yeah, JDH, who does have fresh hards. Let's take a look back up to the start. Here, there's a ducking in, changing those softs to the hard compounds. Verts a ways back, 10 seconds. Staying out on those hards, probably will pit here in the next lap or so. Sub, I imagine, wants to get off these soft compounds, get on the hards, try to do some sort of damage control, getting an undercut from all these other guys. Professor Phil also dives in. Jerk, I imagine, will be diving in as well. Glavis and the rest of them, Captain Schmed and Sargent. Everybody being very liberal with that pit entry line. Here's with a penalty. 5-second penalty. Must have had speeding in the pit lane. That will be a big impact, perhaps. Well, maybe not, perhaps. Looks like they're possibly only losing one position at this point in time. Let's follow style. A good race here so far. Jason Rocket and Adler. Up through turns 7 and 8. Down to my least favorite turn 9. Pedal with the metal here. Last DRS zone of the lap. Coming into a nice, easy turn 10. You get the power down a little bit too early here or low gear. You do risk spinning out, unfortunately. Staying off those curbs. Nobody minding. Let's see if any of these guys are going to dive in and change their tires. No takers thus far. Most likely coming in the next lap. Seems that everybody was getting about 8 laps off of their soft tires. So that would be this next lap for these front runners. Nico diving in for a nice set of softs. Squish, I imagine, will be coming in this lap or the next lap. Tom picking up a penalty here. 2 seconds. It's going to be a little bit more impactful for the guys further back in the field. A tiny bit more spread out towards the front, less so in the middle. Style still chasing Rocket and Adler. All of these guys, I imagine, will be putting this lap. Sergeant Bill speeding in pit lane, 5 seconds, and then retired. Perhaps was down in 17th spot. Had a little bit of a twirl session going on between these turns 4 and 5. They just wanted to call it a day. But retired in the pit lane. If you're going to retire from the race, that is where you should retire, not out on track. Verts did not pit this lap. There you go, you see Adler and Rocket diving in. So Verts looking to stretch those, and another speeding in pit lane penalty. Viridis, new hards all over the back of style. Is that the fastest lap there too, by the way? 1:29.5. Rocket coming out of the pits. Nice fresh pair of softs. As Adler also is. Tom chasing sub. A bit of weaving back and forth. Gets the overtake done. Is on that curb. That's usually an ill-advised curb to pop over, as it will send you spinning into oblivion. Also had the wheel cranked to the right, Tom did, on the exit of turn 3. Let's see if Sub can chase him down here in the next DRS zone after turn 9. So Verts will be coming in this lap. See him rounding that last corner, turn 16. I imagine heading to the pits. There we go. Here it is, 17 seconds back. Let's see the impact of this pit stop here. There is a time penalty for fear of this, however. I'm sure that'll play into the final standings, perhaps. See how those fresh softs do versus the old hards, or the 3-lap old hards. Beardus with 1:29.223, so that's another fast lap here. I imagine Verts will be able to set probably a fast lap in about 2 laps, once those softs are up to temperature. So it looks to be too far behind Tom to be able to make a move here on the front stretch. Tom doing all his sweaty time trial magic, keeping Sub behind him. Let's take a quick look at penalties here. So we have Beardus is now 11 seconds in front of Verts. So they're staying out on the old hard tires. We do have 7 laps remaining. I'm sure that he'll be able to nick off some of this time here. As you see, it's almost down to 11.5 seconds. Sub is up 10 positions for the race, which is the biggest gainer so far. Still going to be too far behind here. Tom is going to be inching out of DRS zone. Sub better get his giddy up on. He wants to stay inside this DRS zone. Let's see, as we're coming up to the exit of turn 6 or turn 15 is the indicator for you to be under 1 second, which is now we're at 1.1 seconds and climbing. Verts, meanwhile, has cut another second off. And it looks like Sub is going to be too far behind Tom to get that DRS. Phil chasing Harmony might be able to pull this one off. Half a second. Let's see if he can get a good toe coming down the front stretch as well from this. Style covers the inside line. Not going to be able. Phil's not going to be able to get there this lap. The field's pretty spread out after these pit stops. Only a couple of DRS zones active. Flavis had one over on Jerk. Phil had the other on Style Harmony. Everyone else is outside of DRS activation and really not terribly close to each other. Verts has cut another 2.5 seconds off of Viridis' time here. We'll see, set a purple sector 2. Currently the fast lap, I believe, was 1:25.3, 1:25.22. I got a feeling that Verts will be able to set a new fastest lap here on these soft tires. And there you go, 1:28. I was way off of whatever I said. 1:28.194. Do have yellow flags. Yellow flags. Professor Phil looks to have the exit of turn 10, perhaps. Got him on power down. He's being very gentlemanly, letting the guys that are fighting take pass, not to impede their progress as he was rejoining the track. You never want to rejoin the track and then be an impediment to those that are racing hard behind you, because that's going to end up in quote-unquote tears. Flavis should be able to make this pass here on Jerk. Jerk covers the inside, heading down into turn 1. Still side by side. Flavis backs off just slightly, and we do have another guy around. Looks to be Adler taking a spin, and the exit of turn 3. That fast right-hander. He's got Jerk and Flavis coming up right behind him hot. Follow Flavis here for half a second. Coming into turns 5 and 6 with a lovely hard-braking left-hander turn 7. Stay off those curbs on the inside. 8 through the almost 90-degree-ish corner. Turn 9 into the DRS zone. Does have DRS active. Is not close, however, to making this move at all. Let's see if we can hang tough through sector 3. Close that gap up before the first DRS zone on front straight. Meanwhile, Hertz has cut more time off. However, it's still about 9 seconds behind Viridis. Viridis might actually be able to get this one done. JBH is falling back significantly. Used to be 3.5, 4 seconds behind. They are on similar lap tires that hard compound, 6 laps, 7 laps. Flavis not close enough to jerk, hangs it on the outside, wants to avoid this corner on the inside of turn 2. Good room still given to each other, following each other around outside of turn 3. You got to be able to make sure your car can hang, not drift too far to the left on the exit of 3 as they head around turn 4. Good room here. Professor Phil looking to also join the fray. Flavis gets past jerk. Professor Phil might have, no, not quite, doesn't have a move on through turn 6. In turn 7, coming up the hill. And we have somebody off, where's my red one? Mr. Highside. Off the exit of 3 into 4. And as I was doing that, of course, I missed this overtake of Phil on jerk. Or Flavis on, excuse me, Flavis on Phil. Sub getting passed by Little Mike, little guy. Jerk's going to be a little bit too far back for this DRS to work in his favor. However, Phil, 0.3 of a second, might be able to dive down into turn 1. A little bit of a draft, the toe, DRS is then Flavis covers the inside. It's a terrible view that it gave me there. Hanging side by side, coming up to turn 3, giving each other room. Phil runs a little bit wide. Want to stay off of each other in that corner. 2 veteran drivers. As I mentioned this last race, then they immediately hit each other. Not these two guys, but whomever I was talking about at the time. Still side by side, coming into the hard-braking left-hander. Flavis gets a little bit of wonky on that exit. Jerk is back in the fray. Could be able to make a move here throughout the next lap. Style chasing Harmony, or excuse me, Style chasing Rocket through sector 3, final chicanes. And here we go. Verts has caught up to JBH. Coming through and has set a purple sector as well, coming through turn 4. Should be set up to turn 5. Turn 5 is going to dive into the inside. No, hangs back a little bit. Does get a good run on exit. Still trailing a little bit. JBH picks up the penalty. So there's 2 penalties in front, Viridis and JBH. Viridis with that speeding penalty in pit lane, 5 seconds. That'll definitely play into this, depending on how much grip versus tires have left in them. Into the DRS zone, heading towards turn 10. We'll see if he's able to get the power down. Does have it set up for, good job closing the door by JBH. Looks like Squish maybe was having a moment there on turn 16 exit. Verts coming around the final corner. Turns 15 into 16. Following JBH should be able to have this move complete perhaps by turn 1 and try to play catch up here in the last lap. JBH hanging on the, so it was the outside of turn 2. Verts needs to get by here. Even though there's a 3-second gap, there could be some possibility they could make up the additional 3.5 is a long gap here on the final lap in Barcelona. Solid race here from Viridis today in our second race of the evening. Viridis Verts all over the back of JBH. Let's see if he can get this done at the a little bit of a okie doke. Coming through turns 10. Does have the inside line, however, not going to be able to make that work. We do have Viridis coming out of the last chicane around turn 16. I hope I missed something that happened back there. Anywho, Viridis takes the win. Verts coming out of the last corner. Has passed JBH somehow, some way. We'll take second, JBH third. Tom and Drag King dragging, quote unquote, through final chicanes. Tom gets in front of Drag King, does have a time penalty, which could drop him up to 2 or 3 places. Tom crosses the line in 4th, but Drag King gets a spot based on time penalties. Little Mike ends up in, and Nico ends up in 5th, Little Mike 6th, Tom 7th. Sub in 8th position, Style Harmony's coming into 9th, Rocket rounding out the top 10. Captain Schmeg with time penalties that won't be impacted. It's going to finish here in 11th. Adler, 8 seconds of penalties, is going to plummet. Will cross the line in 12th. We'll see if Phil at Flavis will be able to overtake based on time penalties. Phil in 12th, Flavis 13th, Adler in 14th. Jerk will come home 15th. Mr. Highside rounding the last couple corners here with Squish in tow. They will finish, unless something catastrophic happens here, in 16th and 17th. Will we see any donuts here at the start-finish line to finish the race like we saw in France? We shall not. Everybody crosses the line in an orderly fashion. Only one DNF here today. There's a retirement by Sargent. Nico, captures driver of the day. And again, congratulations to Viridis. Hangs on even with that time penalty. Takes first place after starting in 8th. Verts, it's a good run from the inverted top 10 down in 10th place all the way up to 2nd. Comes home 2nd place. Will have a healthy lead for the championship over Viridis for the after the week 2 results will be tallied. JBH comes in 3rd, Drag King in 4th. Nico 5th, Little Mike 6th, Tom in 7th, Sub in 8th, Style Harmony 9th, Rocket finishes out the top 10. Captain Schmeg comes home 11th, Professor Phil 12th, 13th is Flavis, 14th is Adler, 15th Jerk, 16th Highside, 17th Squish, and Sargent rounds out the field with a DNF down in 18th. Hope everybody has enjoyed the stream this evening. Again, America's F2 Thursday series. Maybe one of these days I'll figure out how to get this on the Race Spec Twitch and not my own personal one. But until then, have a good evening.